Okay, let's get started with probability. First of all, we need to start off with some vocab. So our first vocab word is an experiment. Okay, so an experiment is an occurrence whose results cannot be known ahead of time. So in my little example here, I have my spinner with my different colors, red, violet, purple, and pink. And so my experiment is, where is it going to land? Our next word is a sample space, and that's the set of all possible outcomes of an experiment. So in this case with my spinner, my possible outcomes are red, purple, violet, and pink. It's not green, blue, etc. My next vocab word is a trial. So a trial is a single observation it sounds a lot like try, right? Like you're just trying one time. Okay, so a trial is just a single observation. It's any spin. And then we have a little bit more vocab before we can get into the awesome probability stuff. Okay, you know how I feel about probability, but anyway, an outcome. So an outcome is the result of a single trial. So I spin my little spinner and it landed on a pink. That's my outcome. An event is a possible outcome of a trial. And that's kind of where we're getting at here with our probability formula. That is talking about the probability of an event. The probability formula of event E, okay, we're going to note it as P of E, as you see here. It's the number of wanted outcomes over the number of possible outcomes. So let's take a look at our first example. Okay, here I have a spinner with a bunch of different numbers on it, and I want to know what is the probability of the spinner landing on 3. Well, our formula said we want to know the possible number of favorable outcomes over the possible outcomes. So let's take a look at how many 3s we have on our spinner. We have one here, one there. Okay, so that's 2 3s out of the 8 possible outcomes. Okay, we're going to reduce this fraction from 2 over 8 to 1 over 4, and if we put that into decimal form, that is 0.25. That is our probability of spinning a 3. What is the probability of the spinner landing on 2? Again, we're going to count how many twos we have, and we're going to put that over 8. So here's a 2, there's a 2, and there's another 2. So probability of spinning a 2 is going to be 3 out of 8 possible numbers, and that gives us a decimal point of 0.35. Now what is the possibility of the spinner landing on 4? Well, let's see how many 4s we have. We just have the one guy right there. So that's 1 4 out of 8 possible outcomes, which gives us 0.125. Okay, for our second example, we have a different spinner now. We have a spinner with 8 slices with numbers 1 through 8. And we want to know what is the probability of us getting a number, and X is just any number, okay? So a number that's less than 3. Now notice that less than sign, that means it is not including 3. So how many numbers on our spinner does not include 3? Or I'm sorry, it's less than 3 and does not include 3. So I'm really hoping that you're saying 1 and 2. And that means out of the 8 possible outcomes, we have 2 favorable outcomes. That reduces down to 1 over 4, which gives us 0.25. Now, what is the probability of us spinning this spinner, which I did not draw, my bad, and getting a number that is greater than 5? Now, notice that it's not greater than or equal to, it's just greater than 5. So how many numbers in my wheel are greater than 5? Gonna let you think for a moment. Not doing all your work for you. Okay. I really hope you said 6, 7, and 8. That gives us 3 favorable outcomes over 8 possible outcomes. And that reduces down to 0.375. This is our last one for this example, I promise. Okay, now we're looking at the probability of landing on a number that is less than or equal to 4. So that means we are doing 1, and then 2, 3, and 4, because we do have that equal sign, so it does include 4. When we put that into our probability formula, we have 4 over 8, which reduces down to 1/2. That's 0.5. Now we're going to look at mutually exclusive events. A mutually exclusive event is when 2 events cannot occur at the same time. Okay, so if you see here on the right, I have my boxes. I have odd numbers in white. I have blue, even numbers in blue, and then I have 10, 20, 30, 40 in my green boxes. So if we're looking at checking the probability of more than one exclusive event, then we're going to add the probabilities. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Okay, so just generally speaking, it says the probability of A or B is equal to the probability of A plus the probability of B. So let's find the probability of getting white or blue. Okay, so we're going to split that up. We're going to find the probability of white, and then we're going to find the probability of blue. So before we do any of this, we have to find out what is our possible outcomes, our total possible outcomes. So I have 4 numbers here, 4 numbers here, 4 numbers here. That is 3 groups of 4. That makes 12 possible outcomes. So that is going to be on the bottom of our fraction. Now we have to figure out how many whites we have. Well, that's kind of easy, right? We have 4 whites. And you notice that these are mutually exclusive because there cannot be any option here that is both white and blue. It's not going to happen. So we have 4 out of 12 for white, and then for blue it's the same thing, 4 out of 12. So since we were able to find the probability of each one, now we can add them together. That's where we're getting that 8 over 12. Then we can simplify and do our little decimal thing, 0.67. Okay, it's really like 0.66666 repeating, but we're just going to round that. Okay, what is the probability of landing on a multiple of 5 or blue? Well, I hope you remember what a multiple of 5 is. Basically 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, etc. Anything that can be multiplied by 5. And then we have blue. So we want to make sure that they're mutually exclusive, right? That you cannot land on a multiple of 5 that is also blue. Well, if you notice, our blue numbers are all even, so they're not multiple of 5. That makes that kind of easy. So let's count what our favorable outcomes are. Okay, we have 5. We got all of our blue, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, plus our 5, that's 5. And then we have 5 plus another 4, so that's 9 out of our 12 possible outcomes. So again, our multiple of 5, we had 5 over 12. 4 over 12 is that the blue section right there. When we add that up, we get 9 over 12, which reduces down to 0.75. Okay, so that concludes our probability lesson for today. I hope you enjoyed that. Probability.